is fine. Think about the speaker. Okay. So guys, welcome back to another video for the NASA Directory. Today we're gonna find out what exactly went wrong in a Starship Flight 9, because Starship Flight 9 was very unusual at the point when we saw the booster 14-2 hasn't been caught or even it exploded over the Gulf of America. And what was that point? It was genuinely exploded by itself due to the anomaly, or it was the intentional explosion. So let's find out what exactly happened with the booster for in Dash 2, because it was the reflown mission of its the booster, kind of the first, like a block 1 version. So this is the first time in the history of the Starship that we have used the flown booster once again, and this is the biggest achievement yet we have accounted. So this is an amazing thing, but let's find out what exactly went wrong with the Starship Flight 9 Booster 14-2 as the Stage 1 supporter. So let's begin. The first thing we have to dive into the maneuverability of the Booster 14-2, and it's the flight profile, objectives. These things we have to explore first before we go into dive into the reasons that what exactly went wrong with the Booster 14-2. Okay, so let's see the what are those objectives have aligned to perform with the booster 14-2 by the SpaceX. Let's explore the first. The first, the first aligned objective was the high angle of attack. Yes, you heard right that I'm saying about the high angle of attack when the vehicle, like a Starship Super Heavy booster, is inclined on the O1 axis at the very thicker level that actually exposes its the entire linear. It's actually lean back and actually create the angle during the re-entry. So this called the high angle of attack. So high angle of attack uses to increase the drag, the air drag that the vehicle is facing, and by the phasing the air drag is eventually generate the lifting force upward. So due to the lifting force, the vehicle suffers the slightly a descent velocity buffer. So that descent velocity buffer is actually lowering the descent velocity. It's quite larger than the as we approaching at the not the high angle of attack. So the booster 14-2 was designated to perform this kind of maneuver, and even though they have a plan to perform the 12 out of 13 engine out scenario in our the Gulf of America, that was the very performative thing that the booster 14-2 was going to perform, right? So these objectives has aligned with the booster 14-2 flight profile and trajectory, and that already have told before the entire flight, because booster 14-2 already have suffered and tolerated the maximum stress on its the body, and stainless steel is nonetheless until you just change the entire exterior of the booster 14-2, because the booster 14-2 entire stainless body is actually has lost almost half% of the life, because it already have suffered the re-entry maneuvers, re-entry phases in a flight 7, and that caused to the exterior body became so weaker at the point, so that the fragile stainless steel body could not be stand with the higher performative objectives, just like the high angle of attack and engine out scenario that SpaceX was anticipating to do with the booster 14-2. They gain the optimistic data to improve and they reinforce the future boosters. Okay, so at the point we have lost the booster 14-2 upon our the objectives that and our the curiosity to know what exactly will happen if we're going to perform this one. So these are the objectives of the flight 9, the booster 14-2 trajectory path. But let's dive into to know what exactly went wrong in a flight, uh, entire flight 9. So first, let's see the successive event of the booster 14-2 with the timestamp that we're going to explore. So booster 14-2 has performed a successful ascent maneuver. That maneuver is actually we can count from the T0 minus, like T0 count, where the booster 14-2 has successfully managed to ignite its 33 reactor engines, and then it has took off it has a takeoff as usual, and after the pursuing the entire max cube maneuver, then it has completed is the hot staging maneuver at the 2 minutes 40 seconds in accounting. And when the hot staging has completed, the booster foreign dash to perform the directional maneuver, flip back, because that was a very flip back directional maneuver. It was the set to perform because they already have a learn the booster uh, random directional maneuver is not great to perform the optimistic flight, because the booster 14 or even kind of the previous booster has performed the random flip maneuver that caused to the multiple of uh, the fuels drained before the entire landing burn sequence. So during the landing burn sequence, we have to save and preserve the at least the high margin of the fuel to save those entire landing, even though there was the failure the landing, so we can compensate by the extra fuel. But at the point we know that the booster for in dash 2 already has managed to perform the directional flip maneuver by its own power, and it has performed the flawless all thing until the landing one was occurring. Okay, so but it's fun. So after that, the hostage maneuver was successfully attempted. The booster in Dash 2 has performed the successful bushback burn shutdown. Yes, during the bushback burn shutdown, we saw something mis-sequential shutdown, even though engine did not manage to shut down sequentially, and it was a power evidence about the booster in Dash 2 will suffer some engine anomaly later, but it was great. There was the graphical data and infographic data of the telemetry, so we cannot exactly tell that data is actually telling about the booster in dash 2 is engine mis-sequentials. But at the 3 minutes and at the 3 minutes and 60 seconds in accounting, the booster in dash 2 has performed the bushback burn. After that, the booster in dash 2 angled itself on a high angle of attack position. So after that position itself, the booster in dash 2 did not tumble and did not going offshore, despite it having the very thicker angle of attack. So it has performed these maneuvers very flawlessly until it made to the last maneuver that it have to perform, but it did not manage to perform. So that maneuver was the landing maneuver with the one engine out scenario. So the booster in dash 2 did not perform that maneuver because of the highly complicated and sophisticated the situation was there. So let's discuss that situation was there by the reasoning the multiple of the our complex answers. So let's say the let's come out from the successive event, and let's dive into the actual reason behind what went wrong with the booster for in dash 2 with the technical depth. So the first thing we have to understand, the booster for in dash 2 is a block 1 version, where the block 1 version doesn't have the very reinforced exterior. So it means that the booster for in dash 2 is not the brand new booster that have the fresh exterior. It means it has already have a used this exterior for the re-entry exposure. So due to the re-entry exposure has already have a done on the booster for in dash 2 exterior, which means the booster for in dash 2 the extra support that the our engineers has provided to the booster for in dash 2 at least survive the re-entry, that actually did not stay up there, because there was the actual fragility of the stainless steel that already led the entire booster in dash 2 demise. So let's see the first reason about there. So first reason of the booster in dash 2 demise was the mis-sequential shutdown of the bushback burn. Yeah, it wasn't the primary reason, but I'm just suggesting that the booster in dash 2 was actually on the brink of the failure when it has the shutdown. It's the mis-sequential bushback burn. Mis-sequential means the all the 13 engines did not manage to shut down one by one. It actually did shut down like one by one, and then they did not shut down at the sync level. So that's why the booster in dash 2 the propulsion unit already has indicated that the booster for in dash 2, if the 13 engines will be not going to the turn on once again. So maybe the aviation system and avionic control systems already knew that thing over there. So but after that, the mid sequential shutdown, that was the primary reason. But let's see the second reason. What is the reason behind? So the second reason was the entire high angle of attack led the demise of the booster for industry, because the high angle of attack is completely built to perform very thicker level of the our stainless steel. However, our stainless steel that we have used in the booster for in dash 2 is already became so fragile due to the reuse mission. Okay, so due to the stainless reuse mission, the booster frame entire exterior, not only exterior, it's the internal part or everything that it has uh, already consisted to reuse. These all the parts did not manage to keep their integrity, and that led the entire all the parts torn off and fragile. So during with the fragile body, the booster for in dash 2 has managed to perform these maneuvers successfully, like our the directional flip maneuver, then the high angle of attack was flawlessly. I'm not doubt about them, but yeah, but high angle of attack led the entire demise of the booster for in dash 2. And let's explore the third reason behind the booster for in dash 2 demise is a very core reason is the propulsion unit failure. Yeah, you already you heard right about, because the propulsion unit failure could lead to the very in the mid-air rapid unscheduled descent, because the booster for in dash 2 already has suffered the multiple fragility during the entire life. So just like the first ever the re-entry, it has performed with the fresh exterior and fresh component was the flight 7 mission, but flight 9 mission was the very different. In case the booster 14 already has done the lot of reinforcement on the body, but despite the reinforcement, the booster in dash 2 is not built to manage these all things. So the is the 29 Raptor engines, those reuse again from the flight 7 mission. Those Raptor engines showed the actual phase in the last minute of the flight 9 booster in dash 2 entire life, because the 29 engine those has performed the very flawlessly during the ascent and during the boost pack burn, but during the landing burn they did not manage to ignite sequentially. Yes, I'm selling light, because of the avionics system is already override the entire system as a fail-safe command, because of the entire propulsion unit has exploded at the moment, because the avionics system is the fail-safe mechanism that is actually called the FTS system, that is already has commanded to ignite and explode the booster in the mid-air before it's reaching to the ground in the ocean of the Gulf of America. So that was late the very critical moment for us, because it was the unintended, even though intended, because the explosion was the inherent. We cannot exactly define the booster in dash 2 will survive intact, but it will be explode. There is a 100% chance, but we are not desperate about the it's exploded. We are desperate about the fragility of the propulsion system that has exposed and showed the uh, real thing, because it's the reuse mission, and this is very concerned about that. If the propulsion system is keep failing like this, then we have to reinforce it very further. So that's why the booster for in dash 2 has exploded. And even though we while it's the descending back to it's the Gulf of America landing zone, where is the the sudden exposure of the re-entry plasma, it's actually damaged it's the engine bay, all the engine doors has managed to ignite once again. But yes, due to that the sudden exposure of the plasma, led the anomaly of the propulsion system and led the fail-safe maneuver. That's called the rapid unscheduled descent belief. Is actually commanded by the avionics system on board the Starship Super Heavy booster. Even though it was commanded from the ground control manually, we don't know yet, but it was the completely internal guidance because Booster 4-2, whenever it performed the landing burn, it does not rely on the manual command, so it was the totally internal guidance where the avionics system override the entire system and abort the entire mission on the halfway to the in the Gulf of America, and that's why the booster 14-2 happily demised in a booster. I mean, happily demised in a Gulf of America, and that was very critical moment. So we cannot tell exactly when it's going to fail because our entire focus was shifted on the ship 35, whether it's going to make the once again the spinning in a orbital level, orbital altitude, or even it's going to explode once again. Or so we were just like calculating the everything at the same time. So we haven't the uh, focused on the actual booster for Dash 2. But yeah, it's fine. It already have performed the very flawless, and we can tell the SpaceX doesn't have to refine all the things that they already have to done. So they already have to accounted the actual refining thing is also the extra reinforcement on the booster 14 propulsion unit where the we lacks to ignite the entire engines and then led the entire anomaly, right? So with this entire thing, I'm really hoping for the booster 14 and not booster 14, booster 14 dash 2 bye bye. But now we're going to shift the maneuver and entire the phase on the our booster 15. Booster 14 15 is already has been taught, but let's see when this booster will be used in a flight. So flight 11 or flight 12. We don't know yet, so let's guess in the comment section. I'm very excited for that one. So the booster 15 will be used again, or booster 16 will be caught again in the flight 10, and this is a very exciting thing. Even the boost like ship 36 is already undergoing is the static fire camping, and all the exciting thing is happening on the Earth. So in the starbase. So let's buy. I made as soon as possible. My name is Gaudushi. You're watching another NASA directory. I made as soon as possible before the flight 10 will take a place. It will launch in the second week. I mean, in like 2 weeks. Yes, absolutely. It will launch in 2 weeks. I'm very excited for the flight 10, whether it's going to make the control re-entry or it will be gone like a C-35. Let's see what will happen. Bye.